How are y'all doing today? Can I get a good, great? Can I get a yell? Come on, give me some energy, guys. Let's go. All right. Thanks, y'all. So we started this event because we want to do a monthly event where we can get together and make this a regular thing. So yeah, we want to get some serious players here. So we'll have a speaker every month, and we hope you'll come back to enjoy some serious knowledge. So let's go ahead and just jump right in, okay? I want to introduce this amazing guy here, but let's take in the gravity of what's happening here. Millions of dollars roll through this building every single second. Isn't that amazing? And you're here right now. Who here would love to live off, let's say, $100 million just off of interest? Oh, just one person. Everybody else, let's give her money because she wants it. Okay. Well, I have a brother right here that has made $100 million off of just one deal. This dude has been involved in businesses, real estate, homes. He's run businesses that help communities every single day, drive economies up. And just thanks for showing up, first of all. Let's give Abraham a hand for being here. Over the past decade, this guy has bought 50 to 100 houses per month. That is massive scale. 30. Oh, 30. I rounded up a little bit. This guy is making serious moves. 30 houses a month. And he's here today to talk about his creative financing secrets. So let's go ahead and jump right in. I want to talk first about some identity questions.
So let's talk about how we met first.
Oh,
Want to talk about how we met?
sure. Let's talk about how we met.
Yeah, so I actually bought a creative deal, an apartment. I mostly buy single family, but I do buy some apartments here and there. So I bought an apartment over a year, it's just about a year, a little bit over a year ago now. And I was running it, and I was like, you know what? I should probably just sell it. I didn't have time to manage it. So I put it up, I gave it to a friend of mine to sell, and he bought it.
Yeah.
So he bought an apartment for me. And then that's really when we kind of got to know each other.
Yeah, we had lunch right after that closing.
Yeah.
Hung out. It's a 12-unit in Forest Park, $540,000, and we worked out directly creative financing together.
Yeah, so I bought it on a creative deal, and then he bought it for me on a creative deal.
Yeah.
So it was, I actually bought it on a sub 2. It was actually a sub 2 and owner finance. So I took over the person's mortgage, and then they also had a lot of equity, so I paid them just a little bit of their equity, and then they owner financed the rest. And then I went ahead and sold it to you, and it's down a wrap. So you're paying me, and I'm still actually paying them.
Yeah. So people that might not think this stuff happens every day, it happens. It might just be your network that needs to be expanded, but it's out there. And you can owner finance this stuff. You don't have to go to a traditional bank. Be like, please work it out. It works out. So a lot of people think that real estate is a straight line, straight to millions, straight to billions. But you actually started out at an interesting place, sports cards. Can you talk about how you went from sports cards to buying houses, what that journey was roughly like?
Yeah, sure. So when I was young, I collected sports cards. I was big into sports. I love sports. And basically when I turned 15, I turned into a business. So I started going to baseball card shows. I started selling online and just started making a little bit of money, then more money, and then I just got better at it. And then I just started making a lot of money, and I turned it into a business. So all through high school, that's what I did to make money. And from there, at these baseball card shows, other stuff became popular, and I just got into other stuff. And then eventually, so I was 15 when I started baseball cards. I started buying property when I was 22. I just started making I had like a lot of money saved up by then. And a lot of my friends were like, well, you should put your money into real estate and have multiple income streams. And also, there's a lot of good tax write-offs with real estate. So I went ahead and I bought my first house to live in, and then like right after I bought like 3 rental properties. And from there on, I've just been buying, selling, running businesses, and just doing tons and tons of real estate.
What are some of the deals you bought coming out of the crash in 2008 that involved creative financing?
Yeah, so that's the really crazy thing. I buy tons and tons of properties for cash all the time, but when the market starts going down, it makes it very hard to buy properties for cash because people just either want too much or it's just hard to resell it. So every property I pay cash for, I'm really fixing and flipping. I'm buying them short-term fix and flip. They usually take 4 to 6 months. But when the market turns, like right now, it's very hard to get a lot of properties at a good enough deal to where you can fix and flip it. So what I've changed to, I used to buy like 80+% cash, 20% creative. Now I'm like 80% creative, 20% cash. So when the market turns, you just gotta start buying creative deals, and you can still pay people a higher price for stuff because you can cash flow on it. So back in 2008, 9, 10, when the market just went to crap, I was able in the beginning to still pay a decent price for homes using creative financing, using owner finance or sub 2 mostly because people have these mortgages that they need to get rid of instead of getting foreclosed on. So I would just take over the mortgages and I pay them $1,000 just so I gave them something because the equity wasn't really there. And I basically cash flowed on them for the last, I still own properties today that I bought in 1998, 1999, but I have tons of properties I own right now that I bought in 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11. And there was no way for me to buy them and sell. Most people were making fun of me. They're like, why are you buying a property for $100,000 when it's only worth $70,000? This is back in the crash. And I was like, well, I'm taking over this great mortgage at a really good interest rate, and my mortgage payment is $600. I could rent it for $1,000. I'll just keep renting it. I'll make $400 a month, or minus my expenses. And eventually the market will catch up. Every single 10 years the market goes up and down, up and down. And then when the market hit, pretty high, I started selling a lot of those off. So I was cash flowing hundreds of dollars a month on every property for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and then I would just sell some off as I had an extra couple $100,000 equity in them. So that's what I did, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm literally buying a ton of properties every single month. I'm subject to, which is basically keeping the mortgage in place that the person selling it, just taking over their mortgage, and I'm cash flowing. So I have a lot of rentals that I do that with, and then of course a lot of seller finance where people own the home free and clear, and they just want more money for it, or maybe they don't know where to put their money, or maybe they're trying to save money and not paying all the taxes up front, or whatever else. And a lot of the homes that I'm buying on creative deals, those are the ones that I'm keeping long term. So all the ones I pay cash for, I fix and flip and sell. And then all the ones that I do creative deals, I have about a dozen different exit strategies. Sometimes I still sell them, but usually not. Sometimes I'll fix and flip them. Sometimes I'll rent them. I'll lease purchase them. I have a lot of rooming homes, pad splits. I just met over here Blake, so I'm definitely gonna get with her and do some pad splits with her. But pad splits are just like rooming homes, so I have a bunch of those. I have Airbnbs, midterm rentals, duplexes, all these different things. So you can just make a lot of money when you do it. So I actually started buying stuff all over the country over the last couple of years. I used to only pretty much buy in Atlanta, so like almost everything I have is in the Atlanta area. But now I figured out a way, by the way, the way I figured out how to buy stuff all over the country was by going to different meetups like this. So I went to a meetup, and there was a guy, Vince Lanza, if you're in Sub 2, you know who that is. He was speaking at this event. And he's like, man, I do creative deals all over the country. I'm like, well, where the hell do you live? He's like, I live in California. I was like, you have shit in Indiana, Minnesota, Alabama, like how the fuck do you manage it? And we talked and he showed me how. I was like, shit, if he can do it, I should be able to do it, right? And the truth of the matter is, if I can do it, you can do it. If he can do it, like everyone can do it. It's not like it's magic, so you just gotta understand. So I learned how he does it, and now I do have properties all over the country. So yeah, that's pretty much the...
Okay. Now, what about, do you ever come across a scenario where your capital was tied up and you had to raise extra money? What did that look like?
Yeah. So luckily, when I was young, I made a ton of money. I actually had $1 million saved in my bank account by the time I was 19, just off baseball cards, strictly off baseball cards. But $1 million only goes so far. How many properties can you buy? So yeah, there are lots of things that I started buying that I needed millions of dollars for, 5 million, 10. So I always had to raise money. So I'd raise money a bunch of different ways. My favorite way is to owner finance. So a lot of businesses, I buy tons of businesses. I own probably like 35, 40 businesses right now, a lot of them in Atlanta, but also all over the country, and tons of real estate. So owner finance is my favorite, but if I can show someone it's a good deal that I'm buying, there's plenty of people that will invest in it. So you just have to show somebody why you can give them a good investment, give them a good return, and that their money is safe. Having their money safe is probably one of the most important things because everybody wants to make as much as possible, but the most important thing is that they don't want to lose their money. So if you could convince them and show them how their money is safe and how they're going to make a lot of money, that's how I get money. And by coming to these events, talking to everybody, posting a lot of stuff on social media, everyone should be posting a ton of stuff on social media, and showing everybody all the good things you're doing in your life. It doesn't matter what it is. People, the more positive you are, the more people is going to loan you money. People will trust you more if you're positive. So just post all your good stuff, and believe it or not, once you need money and you find a good deal, it's a lot easier to come up with money.
Yeah, that's kind of a thing we kind of put ourselves in is raising capital is it's hard. I got to talk to a lot of people, I might get rejected. But what's funny is that I thought if I raise enough capital, I just get one deal. Like when I left my job, I made $161,000 off of one deal. And I was like, I'm sick. But then I got 3 to 4 flips in, and I was like, I need to raise capital. So I could have started raising capital before I left my job and then ahead of the curve, but my personality, my characteristics, I might get rejected, kind of held me back.
The richest people in the world borrow more money than anybody else. Like, you can't get to that level without borrowing money because no matter how much money you have, you're always going to run out of money. There's only so much you can do. So you have to, that's really important. Obviously, you do multifamily mostly, and multifamily, that's like the biggest part of multifamily is raising money.
Yeah. I just got to touch on a personal aspect to you. In the three meetings we've hung out together, notice you have a straight up candor, formal talking, which is rare today. Have you always had that, or did it start somewhere?
And I just say whatever the fuck comes to mind. I mean, I don't like, nothing's planned. Like, whatever makes sense, I just kind of talk basically however you ask me, that's whatever I'm thinking.
Okay, cool, man. Yeah, if you don't have straight up candor, you might not be candorous with yourself. You might not be real with yourself, so that can't get you to the next level if you're not real with yourself. So I really respect that in you.
I mean, if you're not like that, people will feel that through you, and they will feel like you're hiding something, and they won't be able to trust you, and if they can't trust you, then you can't do deals with them, so you've got to just be yourself.
Yeah. Speaking of candor with other people, partnerships. It's dicey. While there's immense value in someone else leading certain efforts, so you can focus on what you do best, the capacity for disagreement is so much more, which could be awkward for people. How do you advise someone find and manage business partners?
Yeah, so if you know me a little bit, I have partners in like 95% of my businesses. I couldn't run businesses, I couldn't have as many businesses without partners. So partners are crucial to me. So we can get into a few things, like how to protect yourself with partners, how to find the right partners, but also why partners are important for me. So I would say half the people I talk to wouldn't want partners and won't do good with partners no matter what, and then the other half need partners. So it's not really like a right or wrong, it's based on you. What I've noticed is everybody is good at either being creative and innovative, or they're really good at putting things together and processes. So I suck at the processes, I suck at all that stuff. So if I had to run the business and do that with the creative stuff, it would take all my time, and I'd have one business instead of, I've had hundreds and hundreds of businesses over the last 20, 30 years. So I couldn't have done that without partners. So when I first had my first businesses in my teens and my early 20s, I didn't have partners. And then once I started having partners, I realized I could do so much more. It's better to do, for me, to have 10 businesses that I own 50% of, making, $100,000 per business, than it is to have one business that makes $300,000. I'm making so much more. Plus, having a partner for me makes me be able to not do what I don't like to do or don't enjoy doing or what I'm not good at. So I always find a partner that's good at the things I'm not good at. I wake up every morning, I can't wake up, I can't ready. I mean, I want to wake up so bad. When I go to bed, I'm like, I can't wait for the next day, because I know everything I'm going to do is going to be so fun, stuff I really like to do. And if I had to do all the integrator stuff, I would never want to wake up in the morning. So basically, so that's really important. You make sure you do the stuff that you're good at, the stuff that you enjoy doing. and you can just do so much more, make so much more money. A lot of people are like, well, I want to give half of it away or a third of it away or two. But you know what? If you could do way more and you can do only the stuff you enjoy, it's worth it. Now, some people don't get along with people. So how do you decide who's a good partner? You should always get people that you know to some degree, that you're friends with, that you've worked well together with other stuff. But you should also protect yourself with partners. So the way that you protect yourself with partners is you have an operating agreement, and in the operating agreement, it shows basically everything that happens if something doesn't go right. We can get into it, that's a long thing, but there's like a whole bunch of stuff in the operating agreement. What happens if you don't agree on all these different things? But that's how you protect yourself.
Yeah, just to touch on that a little bit, because I've been involved in partnerships before, I would say try to do a Colby.com assessment to see what their innate, how our strengths are versus yours, so you're not working on the same thing and having a resentment over them working on that or you not working on that. I would also say, if you want to get real with it, every year the business terminates automatically unless you have an off-site where you have some real conversations about, I don't like where the company's going, I think you should be doing this or that. And having those real conversations helps you to avoid just a shit show. So, Abraham, what is the hardest thing you've overcome with a partner or a team member in your real estate business?
I mean, just having bad partners is rough. If you have bad partners, you got to figure out a way to get rid of that partner. A lot of times they don't do what they say they're supposed to do, or they don't have the same vision as you at some point. So you just got to figure out a way to distance yourself. Either sell your share, buy their share, or sell the business totally. So I mean, those are some of the tougher things. I've had some bad partnerships, of course. And just figuring out, strategizing of how to put myself out of that bad partnership, it's figuring out how to do it. A lot of times, like I said, I've sold my part to the other partner, probably for less than what it's worth, just don't have to deal with them. Sometimes we've just sold the whole business, but yeah, figuring out the best way to do it to where it makes the most sense.
When it comes to creative financing, that's, for example, a property that's underwater on equity, how do you address the seller being paid? Do you systematize that, or is it case by case?
Say that again?
How do you address the seller being paid if on a creative finance?
So if I'm buying a property from someone and they owe more than it's worth,
yeah.
So I would only buy it if there's a reason to. So either because it's cash flowing, like sometimes you can buy a property for more than it's worth if there's other benefits to it. So for me, some of the other benefits would be that it's cash flowing, so you could use it as a rental or a pad split and make money on it. Or sometimes it might be like a 0% interest or a very low interest rate, 1%, 2%. I even have loans with banks that are like 2% interest rates. I think I even have one that's like 1.8 or something crazy. So on those, you're building so much equity that it'll catch up. And again, you just got to figure out a strategy of how you could not lose money on it until it catches up, and then you make your money. So that's pretty much what I would do.
Okay. So in some of those cases, you might be benefiting them by saving their credit from a foreclosure.
Oh yeah. So the benefits for somebody to sell it instead of getting a foreclosed on or something. Yeah, I mean, I bought tons of properties from people that were literally about to get foreclosed on the next day or the next week, and I mean, I helped their credit so much because if they get foreclosed on, their credit just goes to shit. It's probably bad. But once I buy it and I keep making the payments, every single month their credit goes up. So, I mean, that helps them a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that speaks to a gem you just mentioned at the beginning of that. You could actually get the auction list and a week or two before skip trace all of them.
Yeah.
Being like, hey, we could help you out, figure out a subject to right now.
I would do it more than a week or two before, because then you're rushing.
Exactly.
But, I mean, you could do it. You could stop foreclosures the day of. Like, you could technically stop it up until the second they start announcing that property.
Yeah. This is more technical, deep technical. How do you take title on a property without setting off the due on sale clause for creative financial?
Yeah, so the due on sale clause basically says that if you sell a property to somebody on a sub-2, that the bank can call the loan due in full. If you change ownership, like the deed changes names, but you keep the loan in your name, they could call it. So the way that you avoid that, so just so you know, I own hundreds of homes, sub 2, throughout my life. Right now I own over 100, but I've owned hundreds. I've never had a due on sale clause called. I know like people that own thousands and thousands collectively between a whole bunch of people. I've only heard of it called, a handful of times. So I have heard of it called, but it's super rare. Like literally way less than 1%. So the way to avoid it is, there's 4 reasons why the due on sale is called from what I've seen. Either people aren't making payments, so the bank's like, well, what the hell's going on? Or if you let the insurance lap, that's their collateral, so they want to make sure your insurance doesn't lap. Another reason I've seen it, like really small banks, I've seen sometimes call due on sale. I've never really seen like a Bank of America or Chase, although I have heard Wells Fargo do it once, but it's very super rare, and they reversed it. So you can still reverse it. And then of course the last way is where I've seen it get called is, and this is like in contracts when you buy something from someone, you gotta make sure, but I've had it to where somebody sold someone a house, and then all of a sudden, a year or 2 later, the property is worth a lot more, or the person that sold it, so too, was like, oh man, you're making more money on the property than I thought. I want you to give me another $10,000. This is like way after they sold it, like a year or 6 months, 2 years. And they'll basically threaten them. If you don't pay me an extra 10 grand, I'm gonna call the bank and tell them that I don't own the property. And so that's another way. Like if the person that owns the property, calls the bank and just makes a big hassle about it, and look, I sold the property, call it due. That's another, but that's also super rare. So once they do call it, if it does get called, even though I've seen it called a handful of times, most of the time I've seen the person be able to talk to the bank and reverse it. So the bank really just wants to get paid their money, and as long as you can convince them that, look, the bank's in a better shape, the bank's in a better shape by having me own it instead of the other person, because I'm actually going to pay. There's different things you could say, but I've actually had a commercial property I bought like this, and the bank found out that I bought it and actually called me and is like, I'm happy you bought it because the other person wasn't making payments. So they actually just switched in this particular case, they switched the loan into my name instead of the other person's name, but they're like, yeah, cool, I'd rather you have it. And they even gave me a better rate. Wow. So, it's just a matter of a bank you can still negotiate with. So, they just want their money. By the way, it's really bad for a bank to foreclose on a property because it looks really bad. There's only a certain amount, the government gives the bank a certain amount of money, a certain amount of spending power based on how much people deposit in their bank. And the more loans that they give out that get defaulted on, and foreclosure is a big one, the bank, the government won't give them as much power. So the banks don't want to foreclose. It's not like they're like, oh, good, foreclose, I get the house back. They don't. That's not really what they want. They're not in the real estate business. They're in the loan business. They want to get that money, keep them.
Yeah, and it's also a cost for them. I think I've heard that 20 grand just to foreclose a property.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, I actually foreclose on people because I loan money to people, and if they don't pay me, I foreclose. It's like you could probably get a deal for a few $1,000s or more, depending on how hard the foreclosure is. The banks have a much different process than a regular person that loans money, but yeah, it could cost a lot. Yeah, if there's not enough equity in it, they'll lose. The bank will eat whatever.
So guys, in the 15 years I've been in this, I haven't heard one real estate coach talk about 4 ways to mitigate due on sale, and this guy just dropped those gems, so that was amazing. So, to move on, how do you protect yourself? Let's talk about contracts. Do you have attorneys prepare everything, or do you have a system that's already automated?
Yeah, so protect myself against what?
Creative finance.
Oh, creative finance. So I have some ironclad contracts that I do before I buy the property. So on owner finance, it's not a big deal because it's the owner and you, there's not much that can go wrong. But on sub 2, where there's a loan in place by the bank, yeah, we have some really ironclad contracts. And I'm in Peace Mortgage sub 2. I joined that when it first started in 2020, and I got a lot of his contracts, and then they were more focused for Arizona, but over the years he's tweaked them for other. But I have, what's crazy is his real estate attorney, has an office in Arizona and in Atlanta. So I'm friendly with the one that's in Atlanta, and he just tweaked everything for Georgia for me, and I just use those contracts over and over, and then any single time that somebody brings up something, they've already signed when we close. All the stuff that they're saying is bullshit because like I make them sign. Why, I actually, let them know all the different things that could happen at the initial, they sign off on, and then I actually have a paragraph like, why are you selling me this stuff too? How do you benefit from it? And they have to write it out. So like if they ever say later on, I tricked them, like, well, you fucking wrote this out. You just said the reason why you did it, and the reason why it benefited you, and the reason why I needed you to do it is because of this. So that there's actually a couple sentences they have to write in that contract. But there's literally like 25 different things they have to sign off on, that all these different things that could happen, and that they know that.
They have to write essays for Abraham Best.
One essay and a bunch of initials.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Way to way to protect yourself, Abraham. Man, so we just covered a lot of ground. I want to take questions from the audience in case anything want to be asked from you all, especially all the details we just covered. Oh yeah, sir.
How are you?
I'm awesome. How about you?
Doing more awesome.
Doing more awesome. By the way, whenever somebody asks me how I'm doing, or if I ask somebody how they're doing, somebody asks you how you're doing, you should always say something like better than anybody else says. You should always say, I'm doing unbelievable, I'm doing awesome, I'm doing fabulous. That's what you should always do, because that's how you get people to like you more. That's how you get people to want to hang around you more. That's how to get people to see, oh man, this is a person that I want to do deals with. So it's really important. Like no one has ever asked me in the last decade how I'm doing, where I didn't say, man, I'm doing just fucking awesome, or I'm doing unbelievable. So I don't ever say I'm doing good or I'm doing average. Or I go, so just something to keep in mind. Always be extra positive. That's just something so stupid that anyone could do. But I have a lot of things like that. That's just one.
How do you locate your properties?
How do I locate them? So I find them a bunch of different ways. You're talking about like sourcing, how I source my deals. Probably 50 or 60% come from other wholesalers. I have my own acquisition team in my office that gets a lot of stuff. I actually own a home investor franchise that I get a few from, but that's like not that good really right now. I have a lot of attorneys that call me, that they see deals that die. I have realtors that call me, especially now I get a lot of realtors saying, look, I have a property on the market. It's been on the market for 5-6 months, I can't sell it. What can you do with this? Either buy it for a lower price, or more importantly usually is how to come up with a creative way to buy it to where the seller's getting what they want. I get a lot of deals also just by posting tons of stuff on Facebook, Instagram. Social media is so important. Like literally, I get, like when I was buying, 30 homes a month, I'm probably buying a lot less now. But like for the last 2-3 years, up until like 6 months ago, I was buying a home every single day. And I would say at least 3 homes a month I was getting just by posting stuff on Facebook. And like a friend, oh, I know that you do real estate, you want to look at my house. Or a friend of a friend, they'll be like, oh, I have a friend doing it, let me refer them to you. So by not posting stuff on Facebook, like I guarantee you, your friends don't know what you do if you don't post about it. A lot of your friends don't. So like, it doesn't matter if you do real estate, or it doesn't matter if you have another type of business, but if you have a business or real estate and you don't post about it, your friends are probably giving the deals to somebody else or shopping at somebody else's place because they don't know. They would rather shop with you or give you the deals, but they don't know if you don't post it. So posting stuff on social media in general is crucial. But those are a lot of the different ways I would get deals.
Yeah, that brings up a good point. Y'all want to know how I raised about $250,000 just from one person related to social media? Is that something y'all are... Okay, I'll just forget about it. Okay. So, this guy, I knew him for like 10 years, and we had lunch twice in that span of time. And I would post random little things on my social media, my Facebook, and I was like, why does this guy trust me with so much money in this fund, the Affordable Housing Fund? And I was like, oh, of course, I've been posting videos randomly on social media, so he actually trusts me, has a longevity to the relationship too. So there's that. It's just so important to just keep people apprised, even if it's just one video every few months. It's a massive value.
Yeah, the more the better. You should post every week stuff, because that's when people will know that you're doing, how you're doing and that you're there.
Yeah, even if you're just looking at a property.
In today's market, what would be considered a good deal?
Today's market, what's a good deal?
Yeah.
So if you're talking about real estate, I would say that if I'm buying a cash deal, I want to make sure that I can make money on it. So the way I do all my cash deals is I figure out what I think I can get for it after I do the rehab. And then I want to make 10% to 15% on it profit based on how much work I have to do. And then I know that it's going to cost me about 20% in fees. So like between realtor fees at 4 to 6%, between holding costs, closing costs, if you borrow money, all these different things, they're going to cost you. So what I like to do is like figure out a home. Let's say it's a $100,000 home. I know that it's going to cost me 20% between all the fees, and then I want to make 10 or 15%. I figure my fees actually at 10. With the profit, I figure 25% off. So I figure my fees are 10%. I want to make 10 to 15%. So if it's a $100,000 home, I'm going to pay somewhere between $80,000 to $75,000 minus whatever's going to cost me to get it to sell for that price. So I figure my fees at 10%. I figure my profit 10 to 15%. So on a $100,000 home, I take off 20 to 25%, 75 grand. If you need 10,000 rehab, I'll take another 10,000 off. So I'm at 80, 75 minus another 10. So I want to make 10%. 15% if I have to do like more than just, depending on how big the rehab is. I figure the bigger the rehab, the more money I need to make. Yeah.
Being able to break down a deal in 60 seconds or less is also a great way to raise capital, just as a heads up too.
On a creative deal, the way I'll buy it is I want to figure out what my entry costs. How much am I going to have to come up with up front? And how much money can I make every month? So like on rentals, I try to make sure I can make $300 is a good average. So if I can make $300 cash flow, then I'm good to buy that creative deal. Depending on how much money I need to come up with. Most of my creative deals, I pay somewhere from zero money down to 10 to 15%. Once you get to like 20%, they have to be really good deals. Anything more than 20% down on a creative deal, you just gotta get a really good deal on the property. Meaning that I could buy creative deals for 10% down or less, hopefully, and I can pay full price for it. I can pay 100% of what it's worth. But once I start having to pay more than 10% down, 15%, 20%, then I need to start buying it for 90%, 80%, 70% as a cash deal. So once I'm like in the 20, 25% down, 25% down, I almost look at those deals as a cash deal. So what do I mean by looking at it as a cash deal? A cash deal means I have to buy it at 75% of what it's worth. Or on a creative deal, if I'm putting 10% or less down, I potentially could pay almost full price if it's cash flow. So the more money I put down, but I need to have a certain amount of cash flow as a rental. Not that I rent everything, because I do all kinds of stuff, but I always look at everything as a regular long-term rental, because if Airbnbs go away, if all these other exit strategies I have go away, I want to make sure that I can still make money. I do a lot of wraps now. I just did a wrap with you, but I do a lot of wraps on properties. I have every single month I sell multiple single-family homes on wraps. So those are really good. But if the wrap doesn't work, I want to make sure I can rent it.
He also does freestyle wraps in the area.
Yep.
What would you tell somebody when you started wholesale?
Well, I would tell them to do what you're doing now. I would say to come to a bunch of events. You should join all the Facebook groups in Atlanta. There's at least 15 different Facebook groups in Atlanta, and you should join them all. There's a ton of people that will give you good advice. You'll be able to buy stuff off people, sell stuff to people, borrow money from people, lend money to people. So be active online. Then on top of that, what I would say is figure out what you want to do in real estate. If it's wholesaling, if it's fix and flipping, whatever it is, right? And find out different people that do a lot of that are good at it, and go hang out with them, go work with them, go offer to do whatever they need, and just assist them, for free even. And eventually, you'll learn that you'll be worth them keeping you to pay you, or you just learn how to do stuff on your own, and now you can start helping them some and doing some stuff on by yourself some. But yeah, the way I learned how to do everything is by just hanging around people that are better than me at it, or buying mentorships, or going to masterminds, or going to meetups like this.
You can also loiter at a wholesale firm too, and just be a sponge. Sir?
you estimating or budgeting for your rehabs right now?
So my rehabs, I basically have one of my partners that goes to I have an inspector that works in my office and goes to every property and makes up a work list and takes pictures. And then I have a good idea what everything costs. Like I can tell you like per square foot, like what different things should cost, depending on how nice you make it. But yeah, we just put that together and then we have our own in-house teams that do it. But when I was doing so many properties, we actually had to outsource some stuff. So I would just have contractors come in and bid stuff, but I kind of knew what it should cost. So like you just gotta know like per square foot, what does flooring cost? What does it cost to paint a house? How much does a new kitchen cost? How much does a bathroom? And once you know that, it's kind of easy to figure it out. And then how much does a roof cost? HVAC, all these different things, and you can kind of get pretty close.
Josh, over here.
So, speaking of the cost, and you try to ask two questions, but if you don't have any experience underwriting any deals, you don't really know how much things cost or what the percentages should be for fees. You recommend partnering with somebody?
Yeah, so exactly what you asked me is exactly the same answer I would give her. Exactly what I told her is what I would tell you. You would have to, so the question is if you don't know how to do anything and you're brand new or you're not brand new, you just don't know how to do anything, you didn't learn anything. Well, how can I get into real estate? How can I make money if I don't know anything? You come to these types of meetups, you network with everybody during the breaks, you talk to people. I guarantee you're really good at stuff that these people, the other people aren't good at, and vice versa. So like you wouldn't believe like the stuff that you can do that other people can't do, and you can help each other. But besides decorating events, definitely get onto every Facebook. How many different Facebook groups in Atlanta are you in?
Personally? Yeah. Probably 7.
7. I'm in 15 at least. So there's 8 more you should join for sure. How many are you in Facebook groups? You're in 4? All right, there's at least 11 more that you should join. So again, like every single one, there's more, you meet more people. But then again, find out, what you want to do and hang around those types of people. And, a lot of people will be welcoming to have you hang around them and some won't, but you'll find the right ones and, you figure out a way to help them out, they'll want you around them.
Yeah, be obsessed with it too. Podcasts, YouTube, everything. Every morning when you're driving or driving back, whatever. Be obsessed with it.
How do you know who to choose? You've been reaching out to me saying, hey, I want to be your virtual assistant. I want to be this and that, and they're from Bangladesh or from some other country. And I'm just like, how do I even know I can trust this person? Or if it's safe to do something like that?
Yeah, so he's asking how do you know which virtual assistant or someone like that you should hire because they're in countries that you've never been to or just overseas. So what I would do is first off, you should join all 15 groups or probably more and ask people, who do you use? Who do you use? Who do you use? And if you see like the same company or the same people that are being used over and over, that's probably a reliable type place. But if you say, has anyone heard of this company? And everyone's like, I've never heard of it before, you gotta be a little bit more careful. But the more groups you're in, the more questions you can ask and get those types of answers so you feel better about it. But I would ask every person I know that's in the business, who do you use? Who do you use? And figure out who they use and figure out how they found them. And that's kind of what I would just copy. It's so easy to copy people. Like, why figure it all out on your own? So I copy as much as possible. Like, I got through high school, like, straight D's just by copying. And it was just enough just to get by. I always got A's in math, but everything else, like, I graduated straight D's. Like, and I got it by copying people. Which is so stupid. Like, school, they tell you shouldn't cheat. You're not allowed to cheat. You get in trouble for cheating. Once I got out of school, my whole life, all I do is cheat. I had people do everything for me. Like, now you can go on ChatGPT, you go onto the internet. Like, you should be taught how to cheat better. Like, because that's how the most successful people are. But yeah, so cheat. Like, find people that have done it and copy them.
I'll also give you personal resources. Getmagic.com is where I got my assistant. And Fiverr.com is another good resource. You can look at the reviews. It's at Fiverr.com. Yanni?
Yeah, thanks. I guess just a general business question. What do you think the difference maker is between somebody that just does okay in business or real estate and somebody that does life-changingly well?
Yes, so the people that do the best in business are the people that have done it the most. So it's like, how do you get good at anything? It's just repetition. So the more you do something, the better you get. The other way to get really good is to do it with somebody that's done it a lot. Like, it's very rare that you just do your first thing, first business, first real estate deal, and just do really good. Like, you do better and better every time you keep doing it. So the way to cheat, which everyone should always cheat, is to find someone that's done it and, and do it with them, have them teach you, So that's the way to do really well. The people that do the best have had like good mentors, or have done it a lot, or have had, like I said, just people that they work with that are good at it.
I had the pleasure of seeing the international world champion of public speaking, 2012. So he did a training for about an hour, and it was amazing. And he said, what differentiated him from the other participants to win the championship? And he said, I just trained like a champion. I wasn't inherently better than anybody else, but I did 20 speeches a day for a year straight. Like, I was
That's another big thing, actually, mindset. Like, if you really believe you can do it, and you really, put your effort into it, those are the people that do really good. If you do something half-assed or don't really think you can do it, you're gonna not do that good at it. So like, basically what you're saying is it's like almost like a mindset thing to some degree.
Yeah.
But my mindset's huge in being able to be successful.
Anybody else got a question?
I promise this is my last question. During this session, I got about 15 more to ask you afterwards.
Ask away. That's what I'm here for.
Okay, one other point, I'm just gonna piggyback off what you said. You can't be afraid to fail as well.
I failed more than anybody. I failed. Like, you only see people that know me. They only really see the stuff that I do good at. But like, yeah, to do good at all those things, I failed a million times, right? Just like any sports athlete. How bad were they when they kept shooting the basketball or throwing the football? They sucked, and they just get better and better until they're like the best now.
Well, that's man's biggest fear is fear of failure, okay? But you'll never succeed if you don't have a few failures along the way. So I'm gonna segue into this question for you. You mentioned earlier about taking over mortgages. How do you do that without getting a current mortgage company involved in it?
So how do you take over a mortgage without the current mortgage company involved? You don't tell them. Why would you tell them?
That's why I asked.
Yeah, I'm asking you, why would you tell them?
No, but is that part of the cheating?
I love cheating. I cheat more than anybody. Like, don't tell my wife, but yeah, we cheat
That's a
This is
legitimate.
not disclosing.
Right, because the mortgage is still in that mortgage holder's name.
Yeah, so the way it works is there's two things attached to every house. There is a deed and there's a mortgage. They're two separate. The deed just shows who the owner is. The mortgage just shows who owes the money on it. So you keep the mortgage in that person's name, so it's on their credit, and then you just switch the deed. So you own the house. They have the mortgage in their name. Why would people do that? Well, that's because they're about to get foreclosed on. That's because if they sold it with paying off the mortgage, they're going to get $100,000 for it. But I'm going to give them $120,000 for it because they kept the mortgage in their name. So there's lots of benefits for people to do that, right? I mean, every situation is a little bit different, but you don't tell the mortgage company. I mean, I would tell you most of the time, the mortgage company probably wouldn't care a whole lot as long as you're making the payments and keep the insurance. But I mean, there are some mortgage companies that might be like, oh, wait a second, it says in here that you're not supposed to do it. But like, really, ultimately, they just want to get paid.
So if you betting up, who's responsible for the mortgage?
Well, if you sell me your home subject to, I own the house, you have the mortgage. If I quit paying the mortgage, it's going to fuck your credit up.
Right.
Yeah. So you've got to make sure when you sell a home to somebody on a subject to, that you are selling it to someone that you trust that's going to keep paying it. But more importantly, what I do is every time I buy a property on a subject to, I basically tell the person, look, if I ever fuck up and don't pay, and I'm 60 days behind or whatever else, I'll sign the house back to you. You'll get the house back. So, now whatever down payment money I gave them, they get to keep. Any rehab I did, they get to keep. Any appreciation, they get to keep. And they get the house back. So if people bring it up to where they're concerned about that, I make them feel very comfortable in a lot of different ways. Like for instance, they'll say, well, wait a second, if you don't pay, it's gonna fuck my credit up, and you own the house, and I just have it in my name. I'm like, well, the best thing that can happen to you is that I don't pay. And they're like, what the hell are you talking about? Well, first off, as soon as I buy this house from you, I'm giving you 10% down, whatever. I'm giving you 20,000 bucks. That money's yours forever. On top of that, as soon as I buy this home from you, I'm gonna spend another $10,000 rehabbing it because it needs some stuff, right? Yeah. So I have $30,000 tied up in it. Secondly, houses go up over time usually, right? On average, they go up. So if I quit paying on it, you're gonna keep all the appreciation. And the best thing that can happen is that I don't pay, and then you get that $30,000 back for free. And now keep in mind, your credit won't really get hurt if I don't pay it for 60 days because they don't really put it in the pre-foreclosure and all that stuff in that period of time. So you, it could, but if it's like 30, 60 days, you could always call the bank, be like, oh, it was a mistake, the thing they go through, and they'll the first couple times they always are pretty lenient, but they just catch it up. And they own the house back. So but another thing that I say, I say, look, I've bought hundreds of homes like this. I could literally give you unlimited amounts of people that I've bought homes like this from for the last 25 years. If you want to talk to any of them that I bought recently, that I bought a year ago, I'm more than happy for you to talk to them because I want you to feel comfortable. But like, no matter what their objection is, I have a way to make them feel comfortable. And ultimately, everything that you do as far as when you're doing creative deals, whether it's business, real estate, whatever, you gotta get people to like you gotta get people to trust you gotta build rapport with them. So how do you do a creative deal with someone? Either they're super motivated because they're gonna go in foreclosure anyway, so they don't give a fuck because you can't hurt their credit because they're gonna get hurt anyway, or the reason why they're selling it to you is because you're gonna pay them a little bit more money or some other benefit that they're gonna get, and at that point, you just gotta have really good rapport, they gotta trust you, they gotta like you. And once somebody likes you and trusts you, they'll really do anything, right? Think about it. If somebody that you really trust and like, asks you to do something for them, you're almost for sure gonna do it. But if someone that you don't like or trust asks you to do something for them, you're probably never gonna do it. So it's the same thing. So building a rapport and getting these people to like you is like crucial to doing any type of creative deal in anything you do.
You'd be surprised how many banks don't want to actually foreclose to. The last subject to a deal I was talking to a seller about, they haven't foreclosed for 2 years. So they were just taking their sweet time. They just didn't want to do it.
A lot of these banks don't even they're so backed up. But if you're paying, it's very that will happen.
We got time for one more question.
When you buy a business, you say you have a department that manages it. Do they manage multiple businesses or are they in-house directly?
Yeah, so I have a few dozen businesses right now. I have probably like 1 or 2 partners that I have like 5 or 10 or 15 businesses with, but then I have like a different partner with this business, a different partner with that business. But basically my role in all of the businesses is to find the business, negotiate the business, underwrite it, make sure it's a good deal, and then I take it over, and at that point my partner usually takes over and handles all the back end stuff and just running it, the operations. And together we'll do some stuff together. And like if he has questions, they'll ask me. If I have questions, I'll ask him or her, depending on who the partner is. But yeah, I have over my lifetime. At this point, I probably had over 100 partners in different businesses. But like right now, I have dozens of different partners in different businesses. And some of my businesses, I have one partner. Some of them I have, sometimes I have 3 or 4, depending on the business. So I don't necessarily always have one partner. A lot of times. I have a partner who's in charge of accounting or legal, another partner is in charge of operations, another one in charge of HR, or I'm in the creative or advertising. There's lots of different functions in the business, so whoever is the best at it usually handles it.
Awesome. Thanks so much. That was amazing information you just shared. And another thing I didn't mention before, this guy charges $3,000 to start to join his events. And y'all got the pleasure of just hearing.
I do 3 events. They're long. You
want to mention the June event?
Oh, no, I do like creative business buying events. I teach people how to buy businesses without using any of their money or very little, and really profitable businesses that make millions of dollars. And I show people all these different ways how to find them, how to finance them, how to run them, how to do everything. And yeah, I do those a few times a year. So I just had one in Tampa, and my next one's in June. But yeah, if you're ever interested, just hit me up. Everyone here should be friends with me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. And then the main thing I've been doing, like 7 or 8 months ago, I started my YouTube channel. So I post like at least 2 videos every single week, teaching you like how to do better in business, life, real estate, whatever. So it's just my name, Abraham Gray, and you should definitely subscribe and watch those videos, especially the ones that interest you. I'm a little bit funny in some of them, so it's not super boring.
So we could become friends with you on Facebook. How could we become your BFF, Abraham?
Sell me deals, make money with me. Shit. People that make money with me are my
wholesalers. Give them some deals.
I'll send you for sure. For real estate, and I buy some cash deals anywhere within like an hour drive of up here, pretty much. And like I said, I gotta make 10 to 15% after all my costs.
Cool. And I totally forgot to mention what I even do. I run Common Walk, my affordable housing investment firm. We have a fund where we're raising $10 million to give 12 to 20% returns to investors. That's cash on cash returns. So we want to help communities to raise up wealth and also raise your own pockets wealth. Let me know. I can schedule some time with you one-on-one, grab some lunch or coffee. We'll talk more about it.
You mainly focus on multifamily.
Yeah, affordable housing only. So 99% of my rentals are under $1,000 a month. So it really helps people get a leg up on life and build wealth from there.
You have like crazy returns. You do like 2% rule. Most people are lucky to do the 1% rule.
Oh yeah, so I target the 2% rule. So if you buy a property for $100,000, it should give me back $2,000 a month. I only do that explicitly, which is why I know so many wholesalers, because 1 out of 100 actually hit that rule. They trust the network with my wholesalers, hit it up every single time. But the property you sold me is actually gonna just destroy that, because about 5 years from now, it should make close to $200,000 a year.
$200,000 a year.
Yeah.
So what
Because I'm
percent?
gonna make it 16 units. I initially bought it at 12 units. I'm gonna make it all studios.
Yeah.
And
So it's a weird property I sold. So when I bought it, it was 12 units. It technically had 16 doors. But what happened was, 4 of the units, they opened the wall and they made them like double units. But they're small. So they were 12, well, they're 16 studios, so they're not even a bedroom. It's like a room, and then a bathroom. So some of them were turned into like a 1-bedroom apartments. But so you're turning them all back into studios. They make more money as studios, for sure.
yeah, I've been renovating all of them. Matter of fact, my contractor over there, Leo, he renovated all of them. He joined us today. So he's really helping his family get a leg up on life. So if y'all want to be a part of that, let me know. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up, Abraham?
No, I think I know a handful of people in here, but yeah, if you don't know me, you should definitely connect on social media and get to know me, and let's figure out ways to help each other and make money together.
Amen. Let's give him another hand, y'all.